Hello from frigid Florida. It is the team's recap. My name is Josh, your usual host for the show. And when I say frigid Florida, it was 31 degrees Fahrenheit when I stepped outside this morning. Just not acceptable weather here in Florida. So I have donned a light jacket. Really, I probably should be in a parka. This just doesn't feel right. Luckily, by the end of the day, we should have warmed back up to about 66 degrees Fahrenheit, back to survivable temps. So, looking forward to getting there. As you can tell, my blood is a bit thin for the traditional winter that many other states in the U.S. and countries at a higher latitude face. So, yeah, surviving the cold weather for now. We've got a number of news items that I want to cover in today's show. There were a couple of announcements recently, some updates on roadmap items for Microsoft Teams having to do with advanced voice feature sets. So we'll get into that. Before we do, I want to start out with a couple updates on Comms v Next. I know I talked about it during the last episode, but this is my show, and I am one of the organizers for Comms v Next. So you're probably going to hear about Comms v Next a few more times before June. So yeah, bear with me. We'll jump into that right here in just a second. Let's switch over to the content. Okay, Comms v Next. Like I mentioned last episode, June 5th and 6th, 2-day event this year in 2019, back in Denver, Colorado, and we won't be at the Microsoft office there again. We are going bigger this year, so we will be at the Renaissance Stapleton at a conference center there. Very exciting, very cool venue. Looking forward to that. The announcements I wanted to make were that I know a lot of you are waiting for registration to open up. You have asked about that. Trust me, we are putting together the registration forms and ironing out all the little pieces of how that all is going to pan out with the new system we're using, both from a regular registrant, a speaker, and a sponsor standpoint. So that should be done. I am hoping within about a week or less, or a little more, somewhere in there. We want to open registration early to mid December. So keep your eyes peeled. We are almost there. If we scroll down a little bit, I want to call out our sponsors that have signed on so far. These are the ones that we have registered or signed up so far, and we've completed our agreement there with them, and we have a few more that have said they're on. We're just waiting to finalize those, and we'll announce them soon. But to start things out, our first platinum sponsor and our first sponsor, period, Landis Technologies. We have a couple gold sponsors in there, Pexip and AnyNode. And then down here on these silver sponsors, we have Mnemonics that has joined as a Comms VNext sponsor for 2019. These top three you should recognize as sponsors from this last event. Very excited to have them back. Glad they're along for the ride as we grow and build this thing bigger. And very excited to have a new sponsorship on, new members of the Comms VNext family, if you will, with Mnemonics. And like I mentioned, we've had a few more that have said they're in, and we are working out those details, and we'll have them up on the website soon, as well as making announcements via the @CommsVNext Twitter handle. So follow us there for that information, for sponsorship announcements, as well as registration announcements. To all of these sponsors that have signed up and have committed to being a part of this awesome journey, we cannot give a bigger thank you. Words do not express our gratitude. We are extremely grateful for you making Comms V Next happen and being a part of this journey. So thank you all. Okay, next thing up here is not really so much an announcement, is more of a congratulations from my standpoint. If you're not familiar with the MVP program, a year and a half ago, whatever it was, they came out with a new way of announcing new MVPs. Instead of doing it quarterly, it's on the first of every month. And so the 1st of December was no different. There actually seemed to be a lot of new MVPs that I announced on Twitter, of course, various categories, right? But I wanted to give a special call out and congratulations to Alexander Holmoset. He is with Cloudway in Norway, and he just made the Office Apps and Services category of MVP. Very excited to see that. Alexander has been speaking at several events recently, working in user groups. He's been a very busy and valuable person in the community, and we're so excited to see this well-deserved award being given to him. So, Alexander, huge congratulations here. Awesome to see Anna calling you out on Twitter and congratulating you as well. Really looking forward to all the other cool things that you're able to do within the community as we move forward here, and seeing you at the MVP Summit coming up in March. So congratulations to Alexander, as well as all of the other MVPs that were just recently awarded on December 1st. Okay, this post has me pretty excited. This is some cool stuff. If you've been following the Skype to Teams roadmap, then you know that there's almost nothing left on the roadmap that hasn't been green check mark and delivered. The last few things were advanced voice features coming to Microsoft Teams. The important thing to call out about these advanced voice features, these are features that never even made it to Skype for Business Online. So if you are an org or manage orgs that have been sitting in Skype for Business Online and are waiting for Microsoft Teams to mature in the voice space, this is a great thing to understand that not only is Microsoft Teams getting to that point where Skype for Business Online already is, but they are going beyond it with the feature sets that are available. So let's take a look at what these features are. The first thing here, Paul Cannon at Microsoft wrote this post, and he calls out that these features are going to be available before the end of December 2018. So we're in December now, before the end of the month, of course, subject to any last minute, things that are unforeseen. These features should be arriving. We're weeks away from seeing them. The first of these is Group Call Pickup. Group Call Pickup, as he describes here, is you can go through the Teams client, you click on your profile picture up in the corner, and then you go over to the calls and call answering rules. You can select the forward my calls area and choose to forward to a call group that you set up. That way it's easy to choose who is in your group and what the desired ringing order is going to be. You can either call everyone at the same time, a simultaneous ring if you will, or you can ring them in a specific order. In addition, the users that are in this group can choose to receive full audio and visual notifications, or how they want to do that as a member of the group. So there's flexibility not just on the organizer of the group side, but also the members of the group side. Very cool. Looking forward to seeing that. That's coming this month. Call Park. This has, been a staple of Skype for Business Enterprise Voice for quite some time. Never came to Skype for Business Online, and really excited to see Call Park coming to Microsoft Teams this month. Very cool. If you're not familiar with the idea, quite simply, a call comes in, you're talking, you need to put the call on hold. At that point, when you park the call, you're given a code. And then you can take that code and either use it to pick the call up at some other handset or device somewhere else because you need to move or relocate. Or if the call is for someone else, you can tell them you have a call parked, here's the code, and they can go to their desk and retrieve the call with that code and pick up right there. Super cool feature. Really glad to see that coming to Microsoft Teams. Then we've got shared line appearance. As they call out here and explain it, it's an enhancement to the existing delegation feature, right? So let's a user decide which delegates are going to handle calls on their behalf with that same shared line appearance capability built in. So he explains a little bit about it here, but the calls are not actually received on the shared number. Instead, they are forwarded to users who are acting as delegates for that shared number. Any one of the delegates can pick up the call, and the feature is especially helpful if a user has an administrative assistant who regularly makes calls on their behalf. So great to see shared line appearance. And again, all of this never came to Skype for Business Online, is not coming to Skype for Business Online at this stage. This is for Microsoft Teams. Really exciting stuff. The last one, location-based routing, also called LBR, is going into preview this month, and then dependent on how feedback goes, it should be released, put into general availability in calendar year 2019 Q1. Location-based routing essentially allows you to control via policies and location settings the flow of a call between two different endpoints. So you've got countries like India or other places that have regulations in place that don't allow you to bypass tolls, right? Location-based routing ensures that you stay compliant. You're not sending a VoIP call from someone in India to somebody else in the US. You're making sure that that gets routed the proper way so that tolls are paid as they need to be paid. So LBR preview is coming out this month, but will hopefully be released in Q1 of 2019. Great post to read through and get some details. Be encouraged. If you've been watching that roadmap and wondering, clock's ticking, where is it at, Microsoft? That's the update. Paul Cannon there letting us know it's coming. All right, we're working on it and it is coming. Next up, a new notification in the admin center in the Office 365, Microsoft 365 admin center. Skype for Business audio conferencing dial-out behavior is getting a bit of a change. Previously, what would happen is today, like they say here, today, meeting guests, so guests in a meeting, are able to add audio conferencing attendees at any time, right? But the new behavior that's going to be happening in the next few days here, they say, the meeting service is going to require at least one authenticated user from the organizer's own company to be present in that meeting in order for another participant in the meeting to dial out to somebody. So you couldn't have a meeting that was set up and only has guests in it and having one of those guests dial out to somebody else to include them in the meeting unless the organizer or an authenticated user from the organizer's company is already on the meeting. Make sense? You read through it once or twice and that should click with you. But that was just put out there, gosh, yesterday, December 5th. So very new information. If this is an important way that you do meetings with Skype for Business Online, pay attention to that. That's coming up pretty quick here. The Teams Adoption Hub. Caruana from the Microsoft Teams product group put a new blog post out here about the new Teams Adoption Hub. So we've seen a lot recently about adoption for Microsoft Teams, all kinds of resources. Microsoft has put a lot of emphasis here because from their perspective, and really from the perspective of wanting the product to be successful and the platform that an organization chooses to be successful, it's not enough to keep delivering new cool features. It's not enough to say this is here. Your end users need to truly understand how to use it. They need to get comfortable with it, and they have to want to use it. They have to see the value. They have to know how to use the different features. So there is a lot going on in Microsoft Teams, and therefore a lot of adoption materials to help streamline the learning and adoption process. We've talked about some of that in previous episodes. This new blog post that came out the 27th of November introduces this new Teams Adoption Hub. There's the typical aka.ms link that is /Teams Adoption. And she explains a little bit about what the difference is here. Okay, so essentially they're breaking out adoption guidance into three key sections. You've got start, experiment, and scale. And they say this site is a portion of the overall successwithteams.com guidance. And it also provides downloadable tools so that you have help with executing your project. Some of those tools they call out are like the day in the life training sheets that you can download, overall service adoption project plan, example personas, and help desk guidance, to name a few. Really good things for helping an organization wrap their minds around how this is going to be implemented and rolled out and adopted. So if we go over to that link, which I already have open, here's what it looks like. We see those three areas broken out right down here. We have a get started, but then we've got the start phase, the experiment phase, and the scale phase. A number of links in here. I'm not going to take us on some grand tour of this because we kind of went into depth on some other adoption materials on a recent episode. I'm going to provide the link. Should be in this video off to the side there. So if you want to check this out, go to that link, scan the QR code, check it out. This is going to be not just important for organizations that are currently trying to adopt Teams, but very important for organizations delivering adoption services for Microsoft Teams. Get familiar with this content, get familiar with the tools that you can download, and make sure you are ready to help with this area in Microsoft Teams. Adoption is one that, in my opinion, I see adoption and governance being some really big themes for 2019 when it comes to Microsoft Teams. Now that the Skype to Teams roadmap will be finished up, and there's a lot of new cool features that'll be rolled out throughout the course of the year, people are doing less waiting for it to reach a certain benchmark and more thinking about, okay, now it's time to seriously consider it. What does this look like? How do we ensure its success? Therefore, IT governance and adoption is going to be just the topics to give some focus to in 2019. And that is it. I hope to have one more episode out. I hope in 2018 by the end of the month. Holidays can make that kind of stuff tricky, but there are no plans for my family to do any traveling this holiday season, so I hope we'll be at home. Maybe that'll make it easier for me to crank some stuff out. But as Microsoft releases these voice features that we just talked about, I'm sure there will be a few other little nuggets and surprises before the end of the year. I want to make sure we cover as much of that as possible before kicking off 2019 with a bang. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope that this has been helpful as always, and I hope that we will see you back here for the next Teams recap.